Welcome to Inside Voice, your behind the scenes take on the $150 billion home care industry. Here, it's not about the loudest voices or polished headlines. It's about real stories, real challenges, and real insights from those shaping care every day. Join us as we cut through the noise, explore trends, and uncover what it truly takes to make a difference in the lives of those we care about. Inside Voice. Welcome to Inside Voice. Today we're sitting down with Michael Murphy, the new owner of Preferred Care at Home, Apex, Gardner, and Fuquay-Varina.
Nailed it.
Michael is a former software sales leader who spent years of building teams in the tech world. He felt a calling to do something deeper. After living out his mission of caring for the orphan through foster care and adoption, he is now turning his heart toward the new window of senior care. Michael just opened up his new location and just finished training class, is at the starting line of a new chapter. Today we're capturing the day one story and what's behind the scenes from moving from software to what you believe is one of your life's callings.
Yeah.
So thanks for being on today.
From software to home care.
From software to SoulCare.
Yeah, SoulCare. That's better. I like it.
All right, so let's kind of start back to the beginning. You spent years leading software sales teams in tech. What has that taught you about the human element, and what have you realized dealing with people, the need for human impact that maybe software doesn't offer?
Yeah. Well, I guess at the highest level, I've been leading teams and building teams and trying to help people, make meaning out of the work that they do day in and day out. And so I have some experience doing that and just helping people be their best. And I've been doing that for a number of years, helping businesses grow. I've been at small business, like startups, and then I've been at larger businesses. And no matter what, there's always just people. And I've got a lot of experience, hiring and things like this. And there was just a point in life where kind of just thinking about the impact I'm making and what I'm actually building. And I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I started kind of peeking around and looking at some different opportunities and learned about home care, which started a journey of meeting a lot of different businesses and talking to a lot of different franchises. But it really felt like it just seemed like the right time and the right industry and the right impact. And it all just kind of came together and found myself sitting in this chair today. So.
Yeah, and if you don't mind sharing, one of the first things you told me when you were interested in potentially doing this journey, and one of the things you told the training class, that you feel like you and your wife, you have a certain calling that God has placed on your guys' life. Do you mind sharing what that calling was that you shared with the class? Yeah,
so I met my wife, and we kind of thinking about how we were going to build our family, and we felt a calling to do that through foster care. And so we went through a journey. We did foster care for a number of years, ended up turning into adoption. And during the time we also adopted. So we adopted, and we also had some of our own biological children. Anyways, so through that process, I never really thought much of it until I'm at this stage where I'm trying to think of the impact I'm making. And then, Scripture tells us to take care of widows and orphans. And it kind of felt like as I'm doing this industry and I'm looking at different opportunities and I didn't know home care was going to be the right move for us. I was looking at service industry and a bunch of different types of businesses. And I just felt like, wow, this is, it kind of like, for me, it was, I think this is how God works, is like sometimes it's just like he makes it really clear that this is the thing, and then figure it out from there. And so kind of when those two things came together, and it's like take care of widows and orphans, and then I was like, well, I think my wife and I have done have not done our part. There's always more you can do, but we've really had a heart for that. It felt like, well, now I can focus on the widows and people at that stage in life. And personally, if I'm being totally honest, for the past, I don't know, probably 5 years or so, I've been thinking about the fact that the elderly often are such an untapped, I don't know if it's forgotten. It's just, there's so much wealth of knowledge and experience. And that's really how we make so much progress in life, is we learn lessons along the way. But oftentimes because it can be more difficult to communicate or to move around, things like this, we don't spend as much time with them. So I was talking to my buddy is doing something else in a kind of a slightly different path, but also in elderly care. We were talking about this, and this is how he was going. Then he went that direction, and then he and I were talking. I was like, man, this just makes sense. Like, it's the right time. It's the right market, the right impact. So,
yeah. Well, it's funny you say how God works. It's true. The proverb says, "A man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps."
Yeah, that's
like I have a plan. God's like, yeah, and I'm gonna direct it.
Yeah, there's so many. Well, we won't get into all that, but I think there's so many in my own path in this journey that we've been on that has just been, I guess, definitely feeling like the Lord is there through that process, both providing and then also just, giving me comfort. And because it's a pretty scary journey to walk away from a W-2 and, I was pretty successful in leading teams, and I could go and continue to do that.
And you're in the deep end now, bro.
Yeah. And now it's like, all right, now we got to do everything. Earn every dollar.
That's right.
Like hardcore earn every dollar. Yeah.
So you talked about it, but you lived out, I think, phase one of what you believe is you and your wife's calling of taking care of what you say and call it, and the Bible says the orphan mandate by doing the foster care through adoption. And now you have 5 kids. Yep. How has that experience of bringing a child into your home prepared you for a similar responsibility, if you think about, of sending a caregiver into somebody else's home?
Yeah. I can actually say that because our children, I don't want to get too much into it, but they have some special needs and things. We've had PT, OT, and things come through into our home, and I've actually had experiences where it didn't go well at all. And I could actually, now that I am closer to, agency and home health agency, and realizing that in North Carolina specifically, like what I'm setting up is very similar to what I engaged with a different they were doing PT work and OT work, but it just was not handled well at all. Like, we had terrible experience because like the caretaker didn't even know us, or wasn't a physical therapist or occupational therapist, didn't know us at all, had never really met the owner, there was no transition, there was no care plan. There was just so much that was just missed in the process. And now that I'm learning more about this, I'm like, man, there's so much opportunity to do this better, to really make an impact on other people. So having had that lesson, and although it's slightly adjacent, it's not the same thing we're doing, I know how I'd like to approach it. And also I from the receiving end of almost what would be like maybe not the person receiving care, but maybe someone that's the concerned, adult child or something like this. I'll know some of the things that they're thinking about as well. The pain points and the things that they really would make them feel confident, comfortable. So I'll be much more mindful going into this and going into other homes, and making sure that our caretakers are ready and prepared for that.
You said, I always say this, senior care is a calling. And you've said it a couple times, and you feel like you've had this calling on your life, which is amazing. But why seniors? Like, can you pinpoint the reason what made you so passionate about and like you said, leaving a W-2 job that you were successful at? You have 5 kids, and then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna dive in, and I'm gonna open up my own agency to service seniors where I feel like there's a calling. Did it happen since you were a kid? Is it something that's just kind of God's been slowly placing on your heart, this vision for caring for them and passion, desire? What do you think it is that's made seniors kind of resonate with you, senior care?
I think, so I had an experience when I was younger, and you don't really think about the impact that experiences have until later. You're kind of like, it comes back up. Mm-hmm. You re-engage it and you kind of reconsider what that really was. My Alzheimer's runs in my family, and on my mother's side, and so my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and I was pretty young at the time. I was probably between, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. It's kind of young enough you kind of know what's going on, but you really don't know what's going on. And I saw my grandmother get taken out of her home and moved into with my aunt. And then I saw the impact and the stress that had on our family. And it's kind of been a dynamic. And then when eventually like they were unable to continue doing care personally, she ended up going into a nursing home. Yeah. And that's kind of like when we really stopped seeing her, because it wasn't a great environment. And I don't know how much you want to get into it, but there was at one point in time where my brother and I were chased by an elderly man in the hall, and we ended up at one of those doors where all the doors lock.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, I don't know why this elderly man is chasing me.
Right.
It's like, as a kid, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It's super scary. And after that experience, I didn't really want to go. Also, my parents, kind of felt like maybe it wasn't a great place for us to go and see grandma. So that's sort of when we stopped seeing her. So I guess that experience makes it more meaningful, because I know that there was probably so many more moments I could have had with my grandma. And I remember her sitting on my aunt's couch and like us sitting with her and things. But that eventually, that kind of stopped. And so I guess part of that experience is what motivates me when I learned about this industry. I really felt like this is a fantastic opportunity to make sure that people can continue to maintain their independence or their dignity, and then also like just be able to continue to make memories with their loved ones.
Well, I think one of the things that gets lost in the services we provide, we used to have something on our website that said, and we have a campaign, Be the Daughter Again. Yes, our care is for seniors and allowing them to remain independent in their home, offering them dignity by, clean house, good cooked meals, right? All those things. But we often lose sight of allowing loved ones to love on their parents and enjoy their parents, or their grandparents. And so, that's something that you're now having the ability to give back to your community in.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, that's an experience that we had. I mean, I saw the burnout from my aunt, and they had so much love and so much care, but it was a lot for them to do. And we would have had someone that was outside that could have come into the home and help out. I think it would have relieved some of that stress, and they could have maybe just tried to be the daughter again and just, different.
All right. So let's talk about doing this journey. So why did you choose a franchise like Preferred Care at Home instead of starting it independently from scratch? What was that safety net that you think you needed?
Well, a little bit about me is I have often got myself into situations where I'm like, all right, I've never done this before. Let's figure it out. So I can think of an experience where I was at a startup, and I was kind of leading one portion of our team. They ended up moving away from a leader that was there that was running the whole sales team. And the owner came up to me, the founder of the business, and said, hey, Michael, it's time for you to step up. So I find myself going to board meetings and having conversations, and I'm like, man, I am over my head. Like, this is crazy. I don't really know how to be in a board meeting and all that. And you can't really go to my founder and like get coaching. So I went out and got a coach. I went out and I paid, good money to have a fantastic coach. And I kept that coach with me throughout my career. I mean, I worked with him for, up until I moved away from my last role. And so that was probably 3 years maybe. And so I've always had this kind of mentality that like, if you want to be at your best, like you got to have people in your corner. Like it's really hard to go after extremely difficult challenges alone, and you can do that. And there's all kinds of resources out there and whatever. But oftentimes it's like a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of this, you're not alone in the process. And so I think I had that mentality that if I was going to do this, I was going to probably do it with a franchise system. I did look at some resales of some independent agencies, and like those things are running, but still I was thinking to myself, like, I still don't know. I'm still going to have to go get a coach and like someone teach me this industry and figure things out and making sure this is running right. And so it felt like the natural move for me to partner with a franchise system.
And I always say this, it's almost like we need to remind some of our owners is being a part of the system allows you to be a part of the system. And I know you're going to be natural of just connecting with not only fellow owners, but the corporate office. And that's a huge benefit. And we're excited to have you part of that.
Definitely.
Okay, so we're recording this before the big launch. When you listen back to this in 5 years, which will happen, It's gonna be weird, right?
Yeah, it will be.
It's like a time box. What is one thing you hope you never change about your approach to your location and the goals that you are going to be setting?
That's great. What's funny is I actually I journaled this morning and wrote some of this stuff down just like naturally because I feel like this is like I'm ending a pretty big moment, like training and going to be going back home, and I wanted to capture some of that. So it's funny, I just did some journaling, but I want to make sure that I never lose sight of the caretaker, because I really feel like if I take care of the team and teach them like the values that we have as preferred care at home, and really what it means to really to be compassionate, that is going to help the business thrive. And so I hope that I haven't lost sight of how important the caretaker is to the success and ultimately the impact on families.
It's so good. You're used to hiring sales guys, right? Now you're hiring caregivers, going back to that. Which is the heart of our operation. What is the number one trait you're going to be looking for on caregivers that you bring on into your team?
Well, we talked about it a lot here, and the 7-step approach to background check and all of those to make sure that we've got the right people, and really focusing on the compassion and reliability. I think reliability just makes life easier for us, and also it's very good for our clients. But I think the compassion piece is a big one.
It's an innate quality.
Yeah. So I think that's
good.
It's a big one.
All right. So with 5 kids at home, this isn't just Michael's business. Mm-hmm. It's the Murphy family's business, right? How are you planning on involving your children and your family in this journey of taking care of the widow?
Yeah, that's a big part of why I wanted to start a business. Because I think a lot of times people say like more is caught than taught. I can teach my son all kinds of things, but I want him to see what the potential you have as a human being to impact other people. Wow. And so I don't know how he'll get involved in the business. I hope he's observing it for now. And seeing what we're able to do. I'll probably talk to him a little bit about the lives we're impacting and how we're helping people, just so he's aware. I think about him because he's older. He's 12 now, so he's the one that's going to most comprehend this. And I think as my it's going to happen fast. Man, it's hard to even think about. But as my kids get older, they'll be at different stages, and the business will be at different stages, and maybe there will be potential to move them into, maybe start up a new unit somewhere or something. That's so those types of things are exciting to think about. And I think the biggest thing is I want him to see I want all of my children to see the potential of what you can do, dedicating yourself to something and serving other people well.
Sweet. All right, last question for you. If you had to summarize in one sentence, what is the Murphy promise to your community and what you're going to be doing in senior care, what would that be?
Man, it's a good one. High integrity. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. I think that's something I try to live by. One of the exercises here is go through some of our values, and I haven't quite gotten them down to where I really like them, but I think integrity is a really big one. But I think. Let's see here. What do I want to say? I think
to let you think for a second. We did this exercise as a franchise system, one of our conferences, and I won't name him, but he raised his hand in deep intellect, and he goes, "This scares me." Writing these down.
Oh yeah.
Because once you write these down, this is the standard in which we're holding, our team in our office together in. Which I actually respect more than people who are just willing to write down anything that sounds good and write it out and say, we're going to do this, and then it's in the corner or crumpled up, right? So, maybe that's not something you need to have ready right now, but it is something that it's almost cool to see, when you say these things, this is the promise that you're going to make to your community. So you want to be ready before you say it.
Yeah. And it is interesting you ask, because I remember integrity as I was writing these down to my notes, and I probably spent 2 hours one morning writing down what could potentially be values. And then I don't really like that. Like integrity ended up turning into something else slightly. And so I remember that like integrity is actually not the word. So, but I know that I do plan on developing like 3 or 4, 5 like core values that I want to make sure that everyone in the system, in my business, all the caretakers, all of our caregivers, and all of our clients can know that those are our principles and those are our values, and that that's what they should expect from us. And I know part of that comes from the system, but I think you empower your individual businesses to have those and build those out and try to live by those. And I plan on spending more time with that. But I think the biggest thing is I think employing people and treating them with a lot of respect and compassion I think it's an important. I've had a lot of respect for other entrepreneurs that have been able to employ people that they've created an opportunity that allows people to put food on the table and gifts under the Christmas tree for Christmas. Like I think it's so incredible. And it's because someone was willing to take a risk.
That's right.
And do that. I think that journey for me is
for the client side, I used to, a lot of the time you have clients that call you and they're like, can you, we want somebody who can do this, who can do that. And if, show up consistently and all this stuff. And, I used to always say, listen, what you're going to get from us is, first of all, we go through the screening process and we ensure all that stuff. But why you should choose preferred care at home was one of our core values is I can't promise you perfection. Like maybe everyone's saying that I have the best caregiver and we have the best caregivers here and our caregivers are compassionate and they're going to be timely. We try at those things. We do a pretty good job too. But one thing you're getting with us and with you is not perfection, because you can't promise that, but perfectly resolved to make sure that I problem solve at the highest I possibly can. Like that's what you're getting from me. Yeah. You're getting the resolve, perfect resolve to make sure this is done at the highest level possible. Yeah. And that's the only thing you can ultimately promise.
That is where the difference is made in businesses, though. Really, I think ultimately is where they're willing to go in and solve the problems that inevitably come up. Because a lot of times, people understand when things happen, but if you don't address it face on, or you try to pretend it wasn't a big deal, but it really was a big deal to someone else, they don't feel like you understood the importance of it. Yeah. That's when it becomes a problem. So yeah.
Well, Michael, I appreciate you being on, man. The Inside Voice. Yeah, we're super excited about your location and your success and what will be a generational business for your kids as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy. Honestly, training has been fantastic. I'm happy to be here. After training, which is kind of interesting, you guys are who you say you are. It's like you don't really know when you're going through the system, you're kind of courting a little bit, and you get to training, you're like, what is this going to be? It's exactly what I expected. You guys are first class, and I really appreciate being here. It's been good.
Sweet, bro. Thank you. Super excited for you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you give us a follow so you stay up to date whenever we drop a new episode. Inside Voice.